This table was someone who's not physically at the table. From Twitter, we hear from Casey that we are perhaps focusing a little bit too much on bringing people in and not enough on the talent that we have. I know that sometimes you might see that in your own job, that once you're here, you don't feel like people are focused on you as much. I don't know. Well, let's discuss that with the three gentlemen we have here. These are some of the talented people we're talking about, and not necessarily tech. Chris LeBeau, thanks for coming back, entrepreneur, strategist yourself. Dan Wade moved here to work for Locker Dome, so in the tech arena, but moved to St. Louis as a man who was recruited for his talents. And then Kevin Nashin, Sydney Street Cafe, that is a restaurant that continues to win awards, including Best Restaurant for St. Louis Magazine in 2013. Okay, you are the talent. Why are you in St. Louis? We'll start with you.
I think for me, it was a chance to be successful in a way that mattered. Chicago, where I moved from, there are myriad successful people. There are 100 ways to be successful, and yet the vast majority of them are completely anonymous. They go about their business, they do well, they go home, and the city doesn't so much notice them. The chance to move to St. Louis, to a place where things were growing, things were changing, things were burgeoning, was a chance to use my talents in a way that fulfilled me, but also not only benefited the community, but would be noticed. And not that I needed any recognition, but I could be part of something that would draw attention, that would actually make the world a better place. And that was a really compelling option for me, to not only go about my business and be successful in that regard, but also to feel like I'd actually made a difference for someone.
So maybe not a smaller pond for the fish, but maybe a pond that get in on the ground floor of a growing pond?
Absolutely. I think it's an entirely fair way to put it. St. Louis is, I think someone else put it in a previous panel, a bigger small city. It plays big. There's a lot going on here, but there's also a lot growing. And you can get in those places where wow, the things I did today changed the direction that this company is going, that the city is going. And that's a really special place to be.
I think tagging on that one of the reasons I really like being in a city like this is that if you move to a city like New York or Los Angeles, I do feel like you are a small fish in a gigantic pond. And one of the things I love about this town, loving to jump in neck deep wherever I am, is that I feel like if there's something you care a lot about, you can become at the center of that movement and get to know the people driving something behind it. So when you find whatever it is you're passionate about, people are very open and welcoming. And I think it's very possible to immerse yourself to help make a real impact on a real scale that can be seen in the city.
Completely agree. It's, I came from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and went to college here in the early 90s. And I saw the restaurant industry as, it was doing the same thing. There wasn't a lot of farming and sourcing and that, Bill Cardwell, a few others, Steve Gontram at Harvest. But I knew that when I went away and took the trash out in a lot of places that I always wanted to come back to St. Louis, because it was kind of it was just this incredible place. I knew a lot of things were, happening, and it had a lot of, depth, so to speak. And when we came back here in 2002, a lot of young people were kind of submerging, and, buddies like Gerard Kraft and Kevin Woolman and so forth, have we've really developed a really fun, restaurant community that's, alive and thriving.
And I think to what Anthony said earlier, we were talking about this roadmap. I do think to speak to the talent retention side of things too, like they want to hear on Twitter, I feel like once someone shows you that roadmap, from there you can really figure out how to get involved the way you want to. But a lot of times things in this town I would always describe as just beneath the surface. And if someone doesn't show you, or you don't spend enough time searching for those things that you're looking for, you could easily miss them. And I think that's one of the things that you miss with the talent part. If you're not talking about just jobs, but do people know how they connect with the town socially and culturally? And if they don't, I think that's when the lights of Chicago and Seattle and San Francisco start to look even brighter. But once you feel like you're attached to a town and you're making an impact, I think you're much more likely to root down and stay here.
So we're just big enough to get lost in. Is that fair?
No, but that's how you get the people. I mean, there's so many talented people that move, go away for college, and you want to bring them back. Mm-hmm. And how do you bring them back, and how do you draw them back? But they've got to be, you got to set them up for success. And the only way to set people up for success is you got to show them. I mean, you can't just say like, here, come here, and show up at the doorstep. You got to say, hey, listen, this is the map, and this is who you need to talk to do this part, and this is who you need to talk to. And everyone says that it's there, but it's really not there. We really, truly, if everyone really believes in the city, you have to do that with everything. And we have to, grab somebody's hand and show them. Even the most talented people, need a little direction.
Yeah.
And it's just going to develop seeds for the future, and it's going to be a very important step for the city, for sure.
Yeah.
Michelle is asking us on Twitter to go outside that tech sphere just a little bit more. Do you see this in other industries? In the industries you're in, do you see people coming here for other industries is that talent?
There was an article that aired a little while ago talking about cities like New York and Los Angeles beginning to crowd out their creatives because they're becoming too expensive. I was out with an artist friend of mine last week, and he was saying that based on his input, that we have a great talented scene here, and people are beginning to look at this town because they want a studio and they want a space of their own, and they can't afford this in some of these bigger cities. So I do think that you're seeing a lot of cultural entrepreneurs begin to look to other cities that are perhaps a little funkier, but also one where they can really get in and have their own place. And on a place like Cherokee Street or in Midtown, they're very welcoming to that. And it's, again, whether you're talking about housing or all these things, they're much more cost effective in our city.
Absolutely. A perfect example was Scott Carey at Sump.
Yeah.
He was a lawyer in New York, and he decided to just close up shop in New York and move here, and thank God he is here. I mean,
This is the coffee shop
The
on
coffee
South
shop
Jefferson.
right by Cherokee, exactly. Right. Incredible place. And that's that's what we need. Those are examples of businesses we need, Ted Kilgore just opened up Planter's House, in Lafayette Square. We need all these talented people to be in the city and have it fun and, and thriving.
And I'm a big believer in the idea that iron sharpens iron. And this means surrounding yourself with talented people, whether they're in your field or whether they're in other fields.
Right.
Cherokee Lemp was one of the first neighborhoods I got to explore when I came to the city, and was blown away by the level of creativity. It just was not on my radar. And yet I saw all these things and I said, man, this is something I want to be a part of. And I can't contribute. I'm hilariously terrible with a paintbrush. But I wanted to be at my best, and it really inspired me that next week at work to say, hey, what can I do? How can I be creative in this field? And so having a burgeoning food scene, having a great drink scene, having artists doing amazing work around the city just encourages everyone, whether they're in tech or medicine or social media, to do their best, because the best is around them, and it inspires them to just work that much harder to sort of raise the tide. And there's even an aspect of wanting to inspire that next person. And I think as we all sort of buy in to the fact that that's all of our responsibilities, no matter what sector we're in, it can only raise the level of the city and raise our profile nationally and internationally.
I think all three of you have inspired us, so thank you.